Actually, from on the deputy director on scene.
We're live. Oh, okay.
Yeah. They're reforming, New Jersey Normal.
Yeah, no, I know. I've talked to them. We're live, actually, guys. We're live. We've got an ability, I think, to get something.
Hey.
So,
Good
I
morning.
think the good news that came over the summer, I wasn't all that impressed with the medical expansion bill, and I know a lot of patients were excited that happened.
Why not? Why?
Because I think it was an industry bill. I think if you really knew what was going on with that bill, that was to and some were, and I don't want to disparage these folks, but some of them were never right for this business to begin with and needed to get out, and they couldn't because of the way that the structure was, so they couldn't sell because they were a nonprofit and they couldn't dispose of the asset, if you will, and allow a more well-capitalized effort to come in and actually start expanding. Our problem right now in New Jersey is still a supply one, and we haven't on here in New Jersey. So
Prices just went up at
they did.
Cureleaf.
So
yeah,
I think
$60 an eighth.
I think what you're going to start to see.
$110.
Medical bill signing was a non-event for me, and for her. I mean, I think most people. I think there were a lot of patients that went to that press conference that were excited and were checking off the box, but like the day after, it was like, as a criminal, right? You still have less rights than a person that's getting chemotherapy, right? And if we're going to change the stigma, and that's why I got involved in this, got out, and I convinced my firm to allow me to do this, is I'm going to go advocate now. It's broken. And I've really come to the conclusion that we can expand medical all we want. We can keep trying. We can fool around with decrim. Great, let's try it. But unless you legalize, unless you decide that we're not going to go to jail, we're not going to go put a financial target on somebody's back, because that's all decrim does. It says, oh yeah, you're not going to go to jail anymore unless you can't pay your fine, and then you are going to go to jail. Right. And you're still going to have stop frisk issues. You're still going to have the disparate treatment on minority issues, and whether they could get around expunging 5 pounds and all that. It's come to the conclusion that actually legalization still makes a lot more sense. And from an economical
they need
medicine,
the money.
We need the money here, but it should be. And my law firm's going to do well by representing cannabis companies coming in here. There's no shame in that. Engineering firms are going to do well. Landlords that have real estate are going to do well. That helps the economy. People are going to get jobs. I'm sitting here at this addition of benefiting patients, in addition of benefiting marijuana users that just want to enjoy recreational cannabis. And I think where we are right now is that's what's going to change the stigma. So I'm recommitted to it. It sounds like are we going to pass a perfect law?
But that's what after work is for.
Bingo. And we got to start somewhere. The law that passed in 2009 on medical was a disaster in terms of where we are now. But at the time, it was groundbreaking. We had the hiccup of Chris Christie, but we got through that.
It was more of a burp.
Yeah.
And a fart.
Pass a law in New Jersey that's going to allow cannabis entrepreneurs to come in. Some of them are going to be mega companies.
Is that why they're not allowing home grow?
No, they're not allowing home grow because they're scared of home grow and they don't understand it. And not about patient access. It isn't. To some extent it is. But sick patients aren't going to be growing their own cannabis, okay? Gift out cannabis to sick patients. Let's be honest, okay? What this is really about, and what we failed to recognize related to beer right now, it's incredible to see these microbrews that have sprung up. And they're reinvigorating areas. Mayors love these things right now. But we have scared the government right now with this home grow argument. We haven't done a great job of all the different elements that will help generate economic viability for a state right now. It's not going to happen in this bill. But let's get a bill done, and then let's pivot and start talking about craft cannabis. Let's call it what it is. Let's keep the big guys out of it, and let's create a craft cannabis movement once we legalize.
I've been looking at is this. Once we get that bill passed, and this is coming from Garden State Normal and completely normalizing it. So we start to add referendums in to have home grow, operate that into a consumer market, because there's a huge business to make home grow, and particularly out of the medical patients that really need it, that use it on a constant basis. Like if we go to make like tincture, let's use an example. You need a lot of cannabis to make a little bit of tincture.
A pound. Pretty much a pound.
Yeah, if you're making on a high level, if someone has cancer, you need a pound.
In the community that, for a lot of folks that are part of the core cannabis movement, not the new bros that just showed up at the door, this has been a 30, 40-year excursion, right? That, legalizing cannabis isn't something new that they've just woke up to. This has been something they've been fighting. Hip to that, though. And some folks have come along in the last couple months and gotten there. So I think you've got to take everybody as they come. And what I'm realizing right now is the people inside this building that make the decisions on this stuff and the people in local government that make decisions on stuff, they're not there. I get that. I understand from a government, you got to take everybody as they come. I understand patients who are desperate right now for the fact that they can't get the medicine they need, they can't afford the medicine they need, and so they've looked at home grow as a potential option. But I'm not sure that's the only option. And looking at insurance coverage, and we should be looking at different types of means testing for programs. In fact, the Department of Health, the cost of cannabis for patients in need. So you're going to see that type of innovative work too. What government's saying to you is, we hear you patients that you can't afford it and you're not getting access, but we're not going to give you home grow. We're going to do these other things. And you're like, they're being tone deaf. I'm saying, listen to what they're saying. Backyard. The town doesn't want that either. What they're saying instead is, hey, you guys want to open up a craft cannabis thing similar to what these breweries are doing in industrial parks right now? We're going to give you separate standalone licenses for that. Let's talk about that. In fact, but the idea here that New Jersey right now is going to let license you.
That's the
And
one.
sure,
Thing with that
why
fee.
not?
Yeah.
It's
Why not? You want to know if I'm growing? You want to know how much I'm growing? Come on in. I'll show you.
And well, some of our partners
Save
don't
me
believe that.
$1,500 a month.
I on our Facebook naturally, but that's just not where your government is, and
Right.
you can't fight City Hall on all these things. I think what we've got to focus on though is stay together right now and get a decent legalization bill passed. And what does that mean? It was de facto decriminalization for
Right.
possession up to certain amounts, even for home grow. Because you remember, a lot of folks got jammed up because they were growing plants in their house, and then they hit these thresholds. Everything's changed. Well, I don't think when we pass a legalization bill we're done. I think that's just the next step to get us moving, but we're stalled right now. We got to get back to that.
But also, you look at these legislators. A lot of them they don't understand it because they're about 10 years behind states that have. I like what I'm seeing with the bill, and I want to see 100% this bill go through. And I think once we see it go,
Once it goes, you'll continue working on this. I mean, so the interesting thing I was saying to somebody the other day about what I've seen, before we started talking about legalization, we were talking about expansion of the current program under Chris Christie. Remember how difficult it was. We got 2 standalone, but the entire game changed. Where you had legislators that originally were like, I don't get this medical stuff, and a bunch of people getting high and justifying for medical. Change the paradigm just by pushing 2 steps further down the path by getting them to everyone's for medical now. I mean, you can't find anyone that's again. Even the towns that you've gone to, Lefty, where they're like,
well, there's between 60,000 patients to 65,000 patients right now registered.
55 right now.
That's
where
what
we're
the
at.
last.
Yeah.
But if we look at
Chat with them. Like, do you have any insight into
Yeah,
what's going on there?
It's welcome to Jersey. Opening anything, whether it's an ice cream store or something as highly regulated as helping to change some of these. But you've been through town hall meetings where residents have come out with pitchforks and knives, and we don't want this in our backyard. So there's still some of that going on. But the department is pushing with a heavy foot on the gas pedal, pushing these new 6 to get their grow so that you can have, again, some of this is about geographic placement for retail alone. I mean, obviously we have a supply issue, we want more grow, but just the ability to cut down your drive time. So the department, this is not lost on the department. They are pushing now. We're not a year out yet till the awards were made, but I think you're going to see some profound announcements coming by the end of this year about openings and the ability now to increase supply. And then 15 new retail locations in the state. Those will be quick to open too. Once those get awarded, retail won't take a lot. And then you're going to have these separate grow facilities. And that's the last of the state come, because there'll be another RFA coming out soon. I think after this current round closes, but 3 other verticals that will come out, and then they'll be capped. They'll be done there. Better than where we've been over the last decade. All of it is slow and it's incremental, and all of it still is not fully online to benefit patients. But none of it, the movement to legalization is absolutely pushed the needle on this.
I think we're at the starting part of, like, when you look at the life cycle of a product, we're at now between the starting of the product and the growth. So
Yeah.
we're at that point, like, where you're going to see them start to tick up now because they're starting to see dispensaries all over the place.
I'm starting to see government become more inclined to support Brown that wasn't sure what to do. And they sat down and they had a conversation with medical cannabis being in their town. But when they realized the traffic that would come from that, right, and the ability to revitalize different that they're willing to take a risk on now that will generate traffic. And what that means is then Wawa, and then a Wawa's like, well, we'll go here. And then what you have is you have a vacant strip mall, all of a sudden vibrant again, paying properties, where the business community and the town governing bodies were kind of getting together going, this could be good for us.
Well, right.
They do, although that, interestingly enough, wasn't one of the big drivers of this. It was more about, it's another rateable in town. It's the ability to have the anchor and 7 ratables in the town.
Right.
And take a blighted section of town and turning it into something now that for years.
Well, it's also, too, if you looked where dispensaries have been located historically on the West Coast, and if there's a medical dispensary or dispensary that opens up,
Around these things.
Oh, no doubt.
Whatever crime that was going on in those areas usually relocates somewhere else because there's a heavy police presence. The MAME of when we first started down this path, you'd hear from town governing bodies and police chiefs going, oh, the crime's going to go up. The answer is the complete opposite. Nobody's coming to knock off a cannabis joint. They're
Right.
Not, first of all, they
You'd
get
have to be
cannabis anywhere
stupid.
they need. These are hardened, secure facilities with cameras everywhere. So it doesn't take a rocket science to realize presence, heavy security presence, heavy video surveillance presence. You're gone. You're out of those places. And again, you may relocate somewhere else to fight a little bit of the continued reefer madness. Our buddy Kevin Sabet's back, right? Spreading the good news of hate and misinformation. But I don't think it's penetrating inside this building. I think, so you're for decrim, where we're going to continue stopping and frisking people. We're going to not charge them with a crime any longer, but we're going to from this because there's no tax on decrim, right? All you folks that I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. I mean, most dealers I know that are in the illegal black market aren't selling to kids, aren't selling to. I go back to these hypocrites that said, "Well, I can't vote for legalization. It's going to increase the amount of cannabis, but you can vote for decrim. You're cool with that?" I don't believe decrim unless you're going to decriminalize. It's legal. It's free. You can sell it. You can trade it. You can possess it up to 2 ounces. That's real decrim. That might be something. It's just legal, basically de facto legalization. I don't see that happening in here. I attach to it with every police chief in these towns going, we get it now. We're going to go after you. We think you were smoking marijuana. No, I wasn't. Well, you're going to jail, or you got to hire an attorney. Now your life is. Oh, by the way, mandatory drug treatment too that you got to pay for out of your.
To one of those rehab clinics, they might get into something else and get into some trouble.
It actually, I'm less worried about that. What I'm worried about is cannabis. Okay, I don't have an addiction to it, but if I get caught, I've got an option. I get stopped, right? I got this mandatory drug treatment. Get a certificate. We give it back to the judge when we're done. I'm not cured of anything. I'm not better of anything. I just deal with legitimate cannabis addictions. There's a minority amount of. It's not a chemical addiction. It's more of a mental one. But they should be helped.
Well, let's look at it this way. I look at every single person that documented card holder for one reason or another. Either that they have a gun and they're not allowed it by any means. And if it means putting food on your table to risk to the doctor, and that's it. This is not like buying a regular medical that may need 2 cards in it. It's going to cost you $600. All right, great. It no longer costs me $800. I mean, we can luckily as a family afford it, but there's a lot of families that can't afford it. And that's what's sad about this. There's all these different provisions that makes it harder. So just getting legalization done is going to really lighten up our jail system completely.
I think it will, and I think it also continues to change the stigma. So, I mean, I'll give you this example. Even right now, if you work for a living and you are a medical patient, you're still in jeopardy on a regular basis, right?
Yeah.
There are some employer operator. You're going to get no love here, but I think what we're starting to see is legalization helps the stigmatization issue, and so I believe that that's necessary. Just on the optics alone, that if we have this as legalized, you're not worried any longer criminal prosecution. And I know, or you're gonna, we're gonna look the other way. Legal. This is legal now.
Employers are going to have a hard time hiring people.
Already are, by the way. And what's happened now is a lot of companies on their own have dropped medical testing for cannabis.
Cannabis, period.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's not worth their time.
None.
But I'm going to say this to you, and this isn't a hat tip to all of us here. It's to everyone that's been a part of this movement. That's because of our work. That's because of our work here. The effort to lobby in support of legalization has helped the medical effort, has helped the legitimacy of the cannabis movement. It has pushed the needle. It is folks from everyday walk of life, and I'm sitting here looking at all you, right? I mean, it's not every day where all of us are coming together, hanging out, but we have, and we've done a lot together. We've shared information, we've shared intel. I think we've been honest with each other. The industry, I recognize what the industry is. They're part of this effort. We just told them we're different here. We believe in racial and social justice. We believe in making sure that the cannabis community that, by the way, you guys weren't really a part of. You were a bunch of white bros on the stock market that showed up here. A couple of attorneys that were talking about there's no room for home grow and all that. The hell there isn't. We're advocating. I advocate for home grow. I'm just realistic about what we're going to get out of it. I'm not against home grow. I'm just realistic about it. But the people that want shape in California and Colorado and other places now that have come to this game, I think Jersey set the tone. I think we've set a very nice tone for how this advocacy movement should be working.
Will follow just as quick.
Oh, I agree with you. I think
100%.
Pennsylvania will be slow to that, but I think Delaware and New York certainly. I think you're going to see. I think that state not ready for this yet.
Oh yeah.
And by the way, they're booming with hemp, so that section of the state's more than happy with the hemp roll, and they just can't get over. We'll get there. You're right. The competition will demand it, but I'd like to see Jersey beat New York. I think we're close to this. I think we're literally on the doorstep, and time-wise, General Assembly is up. They'll come back for a lame duck period post-election through like the first week of January. The Senate President, the Speaker, and the Governor have given us their assurance that they would work together to get that bill up again before they would go after a referendum. I think we're there in terms of votes, but it's going to require all the advocacy movement. And you know, I was frustrated in March because I'll be blunt here because I'm speaking to a lot of the folks that I was in some cases frustrated with. But when we were not here at this table, but out there in the large doing better, and I do too sometimes, but here's where I am. We had a bill in March that did some really good things. It wasn't perfect, but if we continue fighting over letting the perfect be the enemy of the good, we're going to be right back to where we are right now, sitting here and talking about why we came twice and we pissed it away. In 2009, we passed Let It Fester, and we let other states catch up and then beat us and surpass us. So, second, we were on the precipice of beating everyone in terms of legalization after Colorado. We are no longer first in the class anymore. We're along for the ride, but we still have the ability to beat the feds. But for folks that are concerned, and I know a lot of them out there, particularly in these sort of organic, in a cohesive effort, if you're concerned about small cannabis having a place in this, and I know there's a lot of folk that buy, because if Jersey doesn't create its own self-contained effort here, we know small retail, but you're going to have the Walmartization of cannabis rolling into New Jersey.
Coming out is rolling some steam right now in the House. I know that for a fact, the MORE Act. And that we can figure out what to do to get compliant with the feds when their bill is done. And it's going to be a lot less work than it is now.
I'll give you one better. One of the trends that goes on at the efforts, and as long as it's not offensive to any major provisions in the federal law, they'll allow for it. So I'd love Jersey to develop its own flavor here that meets with what we want to do rather than have it dictated to us by the feds, and then have that grandfathered in ultimately. That's the way you get things done. That's the way we're going to build our own industry. And what I'd love to do, and I hope I'm sitting around a table with you guys here. I'm speaking to an audience out there of entrepreneurs that, not just patients, but people that want to be involved. We want to come into New Jersey. We'd like to partner with you some way.
Is the name Curaleaf now that's from Oregon? I heard they bought out like half of the shops out there.
There's a lot of them. Listen, there's this big cannabis is here. It's happening.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Jersey's created its own provisions. So the last round, big cannabis couldn't come into New Jersey. I mean, I work with a lot of different clients and a lot of different efforts. I'm happy to tell you that the folks I work with were a blend of what I would call large out-of-state cannabis operators, multi-state operators that came in here and hooked up with the local Jersey flavor. And a lot of that was our own doing. We encourage these local people involved at the advisory board level, or these local people involved on your retail level. These folks matter. Jersey people matter. Otherwise, you're just going to get companies coming in from Colorado going, yeah, you know what, we like this building, we're looking here, we're going to go to we'll apply for an application, we're good, drop a lot of money around because they got a lot of money, and there's no Jersey flavor. It's just a bunch of white bros from California,
exactly,
showing up here on the doorstep. And I don't want to in any way disparage the white bros. White bros are important too. I'm a white bro. we all have a place here. Jersey's going to cut its own nose off to spite its face, though, by not allowing Jersey in if we don't pass a law to allow for it.
I agree.
And the other thing is, we just saw the statute pass now that's capped the growth of this industry. This next RFA that comes out will basically cap all the grow and all the verticals for right now. We've saturated the market, at least in the eyes of the statute. I don't know if that's true or not, based on a demand issue, but we've said this is it. So the next RFA, that's it. So if you're involved on the economic development level, if you're interested in being in this, you're watching your last opportunity come and go. And if you don't get a license in that round, then what's left? Legalization will re-up a demand for new entrepreneurial opportunities. And I think the best opportunity, which fits so many levels, is retail. The ability to open a small retail store, which could be anything you want it to be. I've heard people that were in the florist business that want to transfer over this. I had restaurateurs that want to do something that's going to be more akin to a bakery. Like, lots of really neat, cool, innovative ideas that you see. Again, I see a lot of overlap in the craft brew industry where people are doing amazing things with beer right now. I had a beer the other day that was made from grapefruit. I was like, I don't even like fruity beer, but this thing was amazing, right? Like, it's just amazing to see the innovation going on.
I think I know which one it was too. I forget what the name is, but
we're gonna
Sounds great.
We're gonna see. It was
Has
so
a tart
good. It
to
was
it.
so good. But we're gonna see this innovation going on in our cannabis, and that will happen with local small, exactly. And we're going to find that with local small people. And I'd love to see that flavor here in New Jersey, and that legalization will help with that too. So I'm in. We're recommitted. You know, I took a large discussion. We've had some discussions with the front office and the ideas now of they need to get in the game. And by the way, the industry is committed to legalization still. At the top of the ballot this year, what everybody needs to be doing is calling their legislators and telling them to vote yes for legalization. You don't love for a home grow. Maybe it's a pilot program. Maybe it's a craft bill. Maybe it's something where we're going to go back to the department and some a home grow opportunity.
There's an issue in that affect people like Eric's business who
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah.
So I get the sense that the CBD crackdown has already happened. And Eric and I talked about this a while ago. I'm concerned that what's happened here, some of the towns, I think in some respects there's been no regulation over this. And you know, you have really good actors. You have people that are doing the right thing, that are good stewards of the community. You also have other folks that are not so much. Plus, where the product's coming from. We got really bad stuff out there.
Yes.
Stuff that's being,
from China,
imported from China,
Sure.
from Russia. It's grown on toxic sites.
Right.
You got people getting sick from stuff now. So you're going to see the crackdown coming. I think the problem is going to be the pendulum's going to swing way too far. I don't think CBD belongs behind these doors. I think it could be
Everything CBD wise, except for topicals, is going to be taken off the market. And
where you're already starting to see it, right? And I think there's going to be a response now with this recent rash of vaping-related illnesses or lung illnesses. Which place you're going to start to see is states. States are going to want to get in on this business. They want to cash in.
Cannabis Commission, because it's all dealing cannabis. If you look at cannabis product in general, like right now it's in a different category, but who says what it'll be 5-6 years down the road? It may be just one entity overlooking it all, because cannabis is a plant, and if it's hemp, or
One day at one forum, and I had somebody raise their hand, a local mayor, go, "You keep talking about cannabis, but we're not interested in cannabis. We're here to talk about marijuana." Okay?
but that's the term. Like it's
great.
one plant.
They don't. What they do understand now is, and I'll talk about this in the eyes of a 65 or 70-year-old person, right? Who all pot is bad, right? Reefer madness. They, with one of their golf buddies out on an 18-hole excursion, gets a topical cream thrown their way, rubs it on his hip, and oh my God, he's like, wow, my golf swing's improved, right? So these guys are becoming educated, and then what they realize is, or they're taking some sort of ingesting something. They've gotten the idea, this doesn't get me high, so the problem with CBD is it's become this voodoo medicine that everybody's got. I mean, Wegmans is selling water with it.
There's an issue in the way that it's being marketed to the masses.
It's snake oil.
It's snake oil because there are claims that are being made that it's going to cure or treat a specific disease or disorder. And the problem that we're seeing is the FDA turned around and they FDA approved the claim for an unauthorized CBD product.
Ouch.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think you're going to see the crackdown on CBD. I think that's coming. Hemp's a whole nother world. It's going to rely on all of us right now, the final push, to reach out to these, particularly members of the state Senate, to get their support for this.
So, us as an organization, Garden State Normel, on September 23rd, we're running actually a full-blown lobby day. And we want to have all the advocate groups in support, unified for this. Because I think numbers speak in masses on the outside, but also as well, it sends waves on the inside, too. When they see that we're out here saying that we want to see legalization happen and we want to see it sooner than later, it's going to show.
And basically have done very, very little. I'm not saying this about you guys. I know Lefty Grimes, who's been around forever, who's been single-handedly and now with Bongholio out there as a two-man team, literally changing towns.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what group that is, whether you're under the banner of Sativa Cross.
Sativa Cross.
I know what you've done, right, as an individual or a couple folks. It's been a crew. That's advocacy for me. Showing up here, stacking this thing with, because I was getting pinged on Facebook at one point by bros sitting at home on their couch with their socks on. So, we need more rallies. No, we don't. We don't need a bunch of people lighting up joints, standing in front of the State House, smoking and rallying and singing and chanting. What I need to get this done, and it's very simple, is for you to show up in your legislator's office or call them on the phone and tell them that you live in their town or live in their district, you vote, and you support this. If every one of us that is liking a Facebook page or showing up to whatever fictional rallies that are going to occur, if every one of us did this, we would have legalized already.
But
that's what counts.
The bigger issue is how do you get that out there? And one of the solutions and ideas that I have is go to all the cannabis prescribing doctors, have postcards there, have them fill it out, saying they want S2703 or whatever the next number of this bill is going to be, and they're for it. And they want to see legalization happen. And so do the doctors, too, to be frank with you, because it's going to bring their business up for prescribing.
To some extent, you'd be surprised they don't want it. There's a lot of doctors out there that don't support legalization, even though they support medical. Mm-hmm. And that was a fight to even get them to support medical. I'm of a mindset that any advocacy is good advocacy, but I think the best part and what we're going to start to push is there are some groups that were absent from this effort that should have been normal progressive groups that are aligned with this governor, aligned with the Democratic legislator, groups like New Jersey Working Families that have lobbied for these things. And frankly, this is good for working families, right?
UFCW?
UFCW. Well, they've been great. UFCW's been here. I mean, he's been a rock. I'm talking about the other constituencies that need to come to the table now that support what we're doing, that generally align with us and are like, yeah, they walk by here a lot, right? And wave and whatever. Great, thanks for the wave. Get on the phones, okay? Marshal your resource. Political operation can and will marshal. They didn't last time. They kind of dropped the ball on closing this. This is a key issue for the governor. Time to get this thing done. And the good news on this, the bill that passed on the medical already created a lot of the bones of the commission and all that. So now we're talking about some pure things related to expungement. We're talking about some pure things related to just creating the legalization effort. The whole rubric of the commission and all that's been created. That's done here.
Are they back now? No.
They
Next
will
week.
be. They will be.
So,
yeah.
It's a process.
But there's been a lot of activity since then, and I think the good news is, where I thought we were kind of dead in the water when we left June. This is going to referendum. An idea I think is absolutely asinine and stupid. And just so legislature, it is insane. Guess what that does? It puts it right back here after the vote for them to come back and vote again. They have to vote on a bill that they have to develop. No referendum that goes into place. Just basically the folks, if it passes, saying, yeah, we want you to do this. Guess what? We already have a poll saying that, guys. So it's time to get to work. A referendum's a waste of time. And we'd have to wait till 2020, enactment of the law in 2021. Guess what? The feds will beat us to that. So
and not only that, we're just going to be fighting with among ourselves what we exactly want again. And we're going to keep the same fight going much longer than what it really should be, rather than the meat and potatoes of what's wrong with the bill currently, to fix whatever's there while it's enacted.
You will likely be enacting the exact same bill that you're seeing now.
Exactly.
And the problem is, will be in the form of a constitutional amendment. So by its very nature, has to be very, very specific. They come back after the general public votes on this, and again, I'm assuming it'll pass, but there's no guarantees. Remember, there's an industry out there that doesn't want this to happen. Mm-hmm. The drug treatment industry. there's an and
as
they'll
well
be
as the pharmaceuticals
Sure.
too.
Yeah, but the other side of the coin is there's and I wouldn't be disparaging of our followers, but there's ignorant people that are part of the cannabis movement that are going to look at a referendum and go, tax and regulate for adults 21 and over. I'm not for. Where's the homegrown? Where's the ability for me to get a license? Where's the minority to be in there? And so I think you have the likelihood, and this happened in Ohio, where people in support of cannabis reform are going to go to the ballot. I'm not voting for this crap. Vote no. And then
Well, Ohio, by accident, they inadvertently, I think, overall legalized as a whole.
They did.
And on an unregulated side because it wasn't.
But a
in the
couple of years
provisions
ago,
there.
the industry wrote a ballot question and put it up there, and it failed.
Yes.
And so I am concerned that we run the risk of that happening. Could you imagine they're not going to pass it? We are then literally waiting for the feds. But let's take the rosier city. Come back and they fight for a couple months to figure out again with the same bill. You think this place is going to get that done before
It'll be
2020?
2022 until you see a legal 2022, end of 2022.
You're more than likely right. And by that time, what we're probably going to see is a national effort that's going to legalize, and Jersey will be moot. We'll be developing a law. Because I will tell you, if this referendum passes on the 2020 ballot, that's the presidential year, if we have either way.
Well, they're lobbying already on September 10th in D.C. for legalization.
Nothing's going to happen before the presidential. I'd be shocked, to be perfectly honest with you. I shouldn't say that, but I'd be shocked. But if Trump's reelected, and there's a good possibility he will be, I think that there will be. All signs are moving in that way. I just don't think they're going to get anything done. Usually, what ends up happening is you get closer to the federal election, you got the Congress on the ballot, you get the presidential election up, everything stops. Like they're not doing anything anymore. We're in uncharted, but it is licensed, and so it is not legal to go in your backyard and just plant it and grow yet. It will be at some point available to develop in some ways, but like I always tell people this: you can't grow corn in your backyard on your back lawn. Like you could grow a couple ears of corn, but if you plant your entire backyard, there are local code issues that are going to come into play. Like if you're growing hemp in a closet in your house and nobody's knowing about it, I don't know what's going to happen. But most people aren't going to be growing hemp in a closet. They're going to be growing hemp on a plot of land because you want to have a lot of hemp, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to do something with it. Most of it's going to be extracting either oil or using it for building materials or something like that, or people are doing clothing and things like that. But you need a lot of hemp for that. You're not growing that on a plot in your yard. So more than likely, you're going to apply through the Department of Agriculture for everything in the state. So
Yeah.
So something interesting I was reading about hemp. It gets rid of. It could possibly get rid of nuclear waste.
It's a bioaccumulator.
Yes. We should actually trial it out in areas that have high waste
Superfund
runoff
sites.
in New Jersey
Yeah.
to see if it really
like
works.
Bayonne, Jersey
Take
City.
Take your
Yeah.
pick.
We got a lot of
There's-
spots.
there's-
So I'm going to jet, but I really do. I feel good. I am a firm believer folks don't want it fighting for sick pay. There's a cottage industry here of cannabis. There's a group of people that will be. Maybe some of them are going to be growing less expensive cannabis that they can sell, but it's going to have to be regulated. It's still a scary thing for government right now. We shouldn't be afraid of it. And I think you're going to see that develop not only through the grow on. It's not large, but some level scale. You're not doing that in your basement. You're not doing that in your backyard. You're probably renting some space. Register with the state. Well, then fine. You're going to be in an illegal black market, and you're going to operate that way, and that's your business. And to be honest with you, this law is going to benefit you to some extent. It's not going to be your we all like.
I can't say enough about these conversations. This is why we come here in Trenton. He's not here. So we never even got to start the show.
No.
I started with Bill.
Yep.
So funny. So welcome to Trenton. Sorry. Welcome to Trenton.
I'm gonna get mine. Go through the crime if you can't do the time. Don't tell me how you're off and down. When you're smiling in my face, but you play me like a clown and you fool bitch. So just step back. Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. I'm back on the scene. It's time to get mean. I'm a lean revolution machine. Won't want people stay, they sway. Want today is good as any day. Y'all feel slightly dis, let's resist. Raise your fist and pump like this. Promises all the time. Don't cross the line, and you know it's mine. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Trent. It's the Ignorance is No Excuse podcast. We never got to start the show, so here it is.
For all the creative financing companies like Curaleaf.
Hey, that stock has been pretty stable.
Gonna go up. We got to call Bongholio later. That's a tough job in that thing.
Then the other thing is that you know you got to be sitting there sweating. What is that?
Yeah.
Is that a punching bag, pretty much?
It's a tube.
Yeah.
It's like
It's a cardboard tube.
rigid.
Oh.
It's just, yeah, it's rough.
Oh yeah.
He can't move. His back hurts in there. You throw like an air freshener in there too.
You realize he's going to have spinal cirrhosis because of
The
you.
guitar in a wider one. That's he can play guitar, and that was it's small.
September 23rd. So I took over a deputy director position for Garden State Normal, and our idea is to get everyone together. Our bill that we have on the federal bill for a little bit, but at the end of the day, we have the bill for legalization in the federal side. So when you look at this, state-wise, there's going to be bills as well that will have to be federally compliant one way or another. So Normal is not going anywhere. If all, they're getting started. And with them getting started the way that they are, we want to see this piece of legislation pass so we can look at Fed-wise and particularly details that I know about that bill right now that's not of public reference. There will be an elimination down the road of the black market, which is good. It's not a bad type of thing. It's not going to be consolidation. No, it's going to be people that have been affected. They'll be able to get loans from the SBA administration when something like that comes and occurs in the bill. It's going to be a very robust bill. So it's not going to be like right now you only see these big wigs getting in because they're getting these loans at 19 to 29% VIGs, and they're extremely high. Yeah, it's not cheap to get a loan to open up a vertical by any means because there's no federal. So you have to go to either credit unions or you have to go into basically some sort of venture capital loan shark right now. So by doing certain things on the federal level, what we're working on, and I'm talking about the national chapters working on right now, we're working as a state chapter, and Garden State Normal basically took over what New Jersey Normal has been. But we're moving forward. We're actually going to show a presence to the communities. We're going to be doing a lot of things where we want to push this. But the idea is we want to unify everyone as a whole. We all have personal opinions about certain things within the legislation. There's not a question about it. But at the end of the day, when I look at 600 to 700 undocumented medical card holders that can't essentially either have a card, can't afford a card, they're paying for it one way or another. And with that, that's their civil liberties, which is not good. Because keeping arresting people and holding up our judicial system is not right. It's $1,000 it's going to cost you out of your pocket the way that it is right now and the way that it occurs. And there's a lot of things I want to see. I personally would want to see home grow. But I know if we don't pass it right now, we're not going to be able to talk about that for at least another year and a half. So why not get something passed now so in a year and a half from now, that discussion's done and we get to see other things. And we'll even be able to work out provisions as time goes on. If we don't like something in the bill, we can work something out in another bill. Bills are big. That's why they're called a bill. It's legislative, and everyone has an invested interest in this particular bill, either the wrong way, the right way, or in between. And there's no doubt about it. But my big thing I'm seeing right now, I want to see, if I could see this piece of legislation pass tomorrow, I'd be happy. Because that means if it passed tomorrow, we are literally closer to seeing.
Step in the right time, I get that, but
We ask for a foot, okay? You know they're only going to give us an inch.
sure, maybe
But-
a millimeter.
But I'll
Hang on to.
Exactly. And, there's going to be, at the end of the day, there's going to be some rights, there's going to be some wrongs, there's going to be some in-betweens about this piece of legislation. But putting it all aside, the bill is there. It was oversaturated.
Too much.
Yeah, exactly. There has to be an equal balance between the two with this. And just unifying, getting this together, getting people to buy into the legalization is the biggest thing. We all have contributed at one point or another into why things have happened the way they have. But if we take legalization and make it occur in New Jersey, all the other states on the East Coast will follow, because we are literally the branch that meets up the whole Northeast. In order for you to get to New York City, you have to go through New Jersey. In order for you to do any type of business going overseas in terms of shipment cargo containers, you pretty much have to go through New Jersey to get it onto a cargo ship. So one way or another, New Jersey's going to be a major factor and a major player. So think of it like this. When we have legalization on the federal level, there's going to be long-term, all right, what about international trade now? Cannabis is going to be an international traded product. And let's face it, it will be sooner than later on these bills of legislation once we see a legal bill. And we will see cannabis going out of the United States, and we might even see imports coming in. Hey, I would love to see legalization on a federal level where we could actually see like the old school cannabis from Amsterdam coming into the United States, and vice versa. We can give them the Cali. But when it comes to that, it's all about getting the first step forward, and it happens within our state first before we see the feds do it. And if the feds were to do it after New Jersey, we're going to see at least Delaware. We'll see Pennsylvania, Massachusetts. So it'll go up the whole Northeast.
And you'll see interstate. Commerce.
Down the road, yeah. If you look at what Oregon did, they were smart. They allowed it prior to the feds to open it up. So when the feds open that door, other states that have deprived cannabis, they're going to get it from states that have excess.
Sure.
And huh? As
Jim says Oregon has stale cannabis. Is that what Jim said?
1 million tons. Something
he was
it's like a
like,
crazy
wow.
amount. And that's really what cannabis with a medical value for me. I see it for other people out there. As many access points, it'll normalize cannabis in itself. The forms of consumption we have, we're very lacked in the state of New Jersey right now with the forms of consumption. So, you look at it, we need stuff, RSO, we need suppositories, and we don't have that in the state. By legalizing these type of items.
Oh, our system, like our offerings in the state of New Jersey as compared to, and I've traveled to a lot of different places, both within the country and outside of the country.
No doubt.
We are so generic.
Absolutely.
It's like that is the only way to describe our program. It is very generic.
Well, I call this right now, because Chris Christie was the one who signed the original media, until we take down the walls of that legacy. And I think the only way that we need to do it is through legalization. And then we're going to be able to get more products. Move the 10%. If we take the 10% cap off of DC has no cap on the percentage levels. So their products that they have are what you would get of what it should be. Nothing's boiled down. There's nothing taken away. I mean, one thing I would love to see CO2 extraction right now. I would love to see rosin.
Sure.
I would love to see rosin cartridges, these type of things, because pure flower
Reintroduced.
They're stripped.
But
Exactly.
it's stripped down of like other cannabinoids. Like you're not doing yourself a favor. Is it effective in the moment? But like as like whole body medicine, whole plant medicine, I don't think so.
No.
Whole flower.
No, and that's what this is there for. So we have to normalize as a community cannabis within itself. and he charged under marijuana charges in the past. They're still in jail.
Sure they are.
So we have to look at, we just legalized something that now it can be contested over and over and over again. And how do they know if it was hemp or if it was THC?
Sure. Well, there
We
was
don't-
that poor truck driver. Where was he, in like Missouri or?
Oh
I don't
yeah, he got
remember.
picked up and he had a
It was
truck
like a
full of it.
truckload, like a ton.
At least. And you know, he sat there and it was just being held in captivity.
Yes.
That's it. Just for doing what his employer wanted him to do,
Right.
which was move everything that they needed to with the proper permits
Yep.
across state
And
lines.
in dragging their feet and in the way they stored that vehicle with the hemp inside of it, they ruined the load.
Oh yeah.
So that company, that corporation who invested their effort and their money to produce a product was not able to do that
It's millions of dollars flushed down the toilet
down
now.
the toilet.
And it can be at least used as commercial hemp, but that's it.
Yep.
And you know what we're going to see soon is commercial byproducts from hemp, and such things like this. We look right here, the State House. They can make cinder blocks out of hemp rather than
Yes.
concrete. It's huge what hemp has the captivity.
And it's like fire retardant too, right?
yeah,
Yep.
Those hemp blocks.
absolutely. Yeah, it's much better, and I assure you, once we grow enough of it, it'll probably be cheaper too than anything else. It's a renewable resource, and I mean the thing grows up to like 40 feet, the
Yep.
plant. So
Quickly.
yes,
Yeah.
make cotton rather than a cotton shirt, a hemp shirt.
Sure.
And you couldn't.
Well,
tell
that's where the
difference.
other lobbying industries are going to come into play when you or start reintroducing products like that
Yup.
on a mass level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're where it's starting out. We're at the growth of the life cycle. Because when you walk into a dispensary or you try to get something, it's hard to access certain supply meet the demand. Now we're at the plateau of the life cycle and it's going to stay remained it. So until we see that, it's not going to happen. So we need as advocates we're going to grow the market.
Well, and it's like, but it's going at a snail's pace right now. I mean,
Oh,
we
yeah.
have
Things about opening up a dispensary is the security detail. It is a complete mess. To open up a vertical, from them, it's about usually 36 months up to 5 cultivation sites and all these different things opening up separately. Because when they open those things up separately, I will almost guarantee you, I'll make a bet with you, okay? These cultivation sites, these dispensaries will open up sooner than cultivation sites. But the cultivation sites themselves will probably open up right around the same time that the verticals do. And I think that's going to be, truthfully, another 18 months in realistic schemes, because there's too much red tape on a vertical.
Right.
You're running every aspect control of that business, so it takes longer to open up. You have to have security detail for every piece. And if you miss one piece of security detail, then you got to fix it, go back, and you might get denied for something
I,
else.
for one, rather appreciate the level of security at some of the dispensaries.
Oh, I do too.
I've heard some people that like they're uncomfortable because they're armed. They don't like it. But for me, especially if my fiance's going by herself and she's got $500-600 in her pocket, she's still got to get from the parking spot to the dispensary door. And most of the time where we shop, there's not enough parking spots, which means it's a walk from down the street. So yeah, like your security better be on point.
A few officers actually, well, a few security people at the dispensary are actual like ex-officers. I knew them personally from EMS, and so they're proficient with a weapon. It's not like they're a running cop toting a
I
gun or
really
something.
want to ask them, though, what does it feel like working in a dispensary, smelling this cannabis all day, and you can't consume it because you have your gun? Like, it's. I know it's tempting for them because it smells so good. Yeah. But, you know, they have that, but there's another thing, too. And this is what's crazy about the security. Around the side of some of these dispensaries, you'll notice that there's these LED lights. Do you know those LED lights sometimes don't even turn on at all? Unless they know that they're going to be getting robbed at night. They'll flick on and it blinds the person completely for a good amount of time until the police come. It's literally like spraying a mace in someone's face.
Wow.
Yes.
Light mace.
Yes. This particular, and that's one of the little pieces of security detail that a lot of people don't realize that goes into opening up one of these shops, is that what above people do you have that's full automation? So they see that, all right, there's a group of guys coming in with AK-47s to literally raid this place. They can flick those lights on. Or even if the
It
DA's
makes
coming.
sense. I mean, because you're dealing with an industry, you don't have access to banking, so
Yes.
there's no credit card. It's cash business.
Yeah.
Well, what's
And there's
interesting?
Tons of cash on site. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You're going to be a target.
Credit unions are taking cash. Really not much money on site that people really think. It's just the day volume. Listen, guys, I got to get going. September 23rd.
Cool.
Definitely.
Normal.
Yep.
Normal.
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 Wrong. So if you think about
Right.
it's got a great target to it, and I see a lot of things. But one thing I say is stay tuned for National Lobby Day.
Every Thursday, if you guys want to just show up, we're always here. The patients are always here. Been here
for
for
sure.
5 years. We're not going anywhere.
Oh,
Awesome.
Have a great day, Dad.
So good. A good show so far. This is great. I'm cold. It feels like September. Oh wait, it is September.
It is. I know I've been struggling. I gotta decide if I'm gonna walk down to that little cafe or not.
Podcast is not handicap accessible.
No, this is not handicap accessible.
Told you. I'm
It's not my fault.
Drinking coffee like
I complained.
water right now.
I did his issues
I'll
inside
go
the
get a
costume.
coffee in a little bit. I've been waiting a very long time.
That's cool.
If you guys get cold,
Jimmy's gonna
you're really gonna go for everybody? You're the best. You're so nice.
They're expensive.
Oh, bunghole branch meeting.
Yeah, I know. It's all you can't sit down.
He told what's that?
Yeah.
It is loud. Here, I could turn it. Work for a living.
Well, who would believe that?
I would if I was him. That's what I'd be doing.
No.
It's nothing.
Right.
I'm not gonna hang up on you, Jeff. I'm in busy for
Hit my vape.
tobacco.
It's just one of those. How's that?
Yeah, it's better.
Filling it all over the table.
I could roll a joint while I'm driving. Come on, man.
Don't tell anybody you did that.
Oh, okay. I'm just kidding.
But yes, last night, basically calling the cops on Bongholio.
Yeah, he
for
called the
just
cops.
just for being Bongholio. he was afraid. He was
He
afraid
called-
of Bongholio.
Yeah.
Caught the cop.
The police come to the front row where we were all sitting.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. They had a big problem
Yeah.
with the bong.
Because you guys are all so
And-
scary. Oh my God. Come on now.
As fast as I
Are
can.
you kidding me?
And actually, when I thought of that Bongholio has to deal with, I'm thinking that maybe Bongholio,
To poop.
just in case, you never know. I mean,
Right?
yeah. That would, yeah.
That's great.
Well,
Is this
Oh my God.
yours?
strong? Oh, yeah. Or I might make some more candy.
Those candies were nice.
Yeah, I have some.
But that's okay. It was worth it.
Jolly Ranchers and melt them down and just add the oil into the hot mixture and just pour it into molds and let it solidify again.
Well, hold on. We're on a call. Yeah, go ahead. Hold on, Jeff. We have a need. We're a bunch of.
Sanction that. You understand? Yeah, because my son,
Is he suffering a lot, or because?
he has cancer. His appetite, eating habits, and everything.
Okay.
I don't know the language.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
the-
That's
that's
even
all
more
I said,
expensive.
yeah.
And pills.
And pills.
With what he's going
Feel good,
through.
too.
I hope your son feels better. Get some relief. And we live in a big red dot in New Jersey of cancer, chromium, vinyl chloride, lead, PCBs, mercury, all kinds of.
Hexchrome 6.
What's that called?
That's one of hexavalent chrome 6.
What the hell is that?
It's chrome. It's man-made chrome.
Oh, Jesus.
When you take that's what happened to me from welding. When you take chrome, welding or using it industrial, from 9 carbons to 6 carbon, accumulates in your body. Well, yeah, when you hear about, boom, you're talking cancer. If you